GST Council has now delivered a big healthcare win. Amongst the major headlines that came out of it, healthcare was on top of the chart. Why? Well, because health insurance premium for life, health and accident policies are now GST exempt, giving policyholders a major financial relief. Also, essential medicines, including vaccines, cancer drugs, life-saving treatments, they also remain tax-free. Critical medical devices like pacemaker, hearing aid, prosthetics, dialysis machines, even oxygen concentrators have been spared the GST, protecting patients' vital needs. That means your overall hospital bills will come down. And not just that, even diagnostic tests, patients and hospital stays, surgeries, outpatient treatments continue to enjoy zero tax, making equality healthcare more affordable for all. Now, this sweeping exemption is, of course, a game changer. However, on insurance premiums, there seems to be some sort of an industry confusion over how much of this benefit will actually be transferred to policyholders. We spoke about this with Dr. Tapan Sehgal. He's the MD and CEO of Bajaj Allianz General Insurance to understand whether this 18% drop in the premiums will actually benefit the policyholders. Listen in.
An immediate drop of 18%, no? Because that is where the GST drop would happen, it becomes zero. So that would happen. Now, in the existing policy, also the good part of general insurance is that it's mostly an annual contract, no? Which means it comes up again for renewal every year. Some policies are for 3 years, but most of the policies are for every year. When they come up for renewal, again, if there's a 0% GST regime, so they get the benefit of that immediately. Now, for the past policy, the issue is that the GST has already been paid for, no? So that would not have any kind of refund. So the issue is for 22nd, policies purchased would have an 18% benefit straight off because of the GST becoming zero. Second, all renewals coming up will have that benefit going forward. So I can commit for my company, not at all. For the industry, also the leaders I've spoken to, they also have committed that there will not be a premium hike happening.
All right, so some bit of clarity there coming in from industry, but let's try and decode that with the reporters as well. Chetan Bhutani, Associate Editor, Business Today TV is with us. Also joining us very shortly will be Sneha, my colleague. Chetan, just help me understand what this input tax credit actually is. And why are now some, news articles reflecting that if this were to come into play, forget about bringing down insurance, it could actually bring up your insurance by 1 to 2%.
Well, absolutely. Input tax credit is a very simplified term for understanding, revenue-based inputs that the companies take from the government when they pay taxes. So in order to understand what really, as far as, the insurance premium is concerned, as we just heard a guide on what really it's all about, we've got to understand that insurance premiums have to be renewed every year, or most policies are for 3 years. But when it comes to renewal, the GST that companies pay for the government, they have to actually pass it on to agents. For that also, they charge 18% GST. So all in all, it's a kind of a loss-making stream for insurance companies. That is why we saw, we are hoping that premiums don't really come up, because if that comes up, it would compensate for the ITC as well. So all in all, that's why insurance companies are seeking more clarity on what really the ITC would be about. But yes, all in all, we don't expect any major premium hikes for the insurance sector as well.
We're not expecting hikes, but we don't have clarity on what will happen to input tax credit as well. And if I'm not wrong, this is not the only industry where it applies. So if other industries let go, the question really is, at the end of the day, the customer should benefit. If the government wants better policy penetration and wants more people to adopt a health insurance, life insurance policies, then it has to go, even if it comes at the cost of companies actually bearing the brunt. That's something we'll discuss. Sneha Burdani is also with us. Sneha, like I said, it doesn't matter who's paying for it. At the end of the day, it's you and me who should end up paying lesser premiums. Just for the benefit of our viewers, if you had, say, a premium of 10,000 rupees, you were currently paying 11,800 because of under 18% GST. Now you don't pay that, you only pay 10,000.
Absolutely, and doesn't that make insurances so much more attractive, Sonal, given that a lot of people are reluctant to buy health insurance, given the kind of experience that they've had. And it's not just confined to health insurance, it's also, in fact, extends to life insurance, ULIPs, and this obviously makes this just so much more attractive, encouraging people to buy these schemes at the end of the day, attracting higher GST earlier, and then no GST now, and then makes it all the more attractive. So all the more reason for people to invest in something of this kind. But I think at the end of the day, if you look at this whole announcement, there's a lot for, for people as far as, there's a lot of, a lot of things kept in mind as far as the country's health overall is concerned. I just heard you talk about how our hospital bills overall will be coming down. That's great. Something that I have been watching very closely, and like to touch upon that as well, the increase in the GST of, cigarettes and also gudka. But of course, a bit of a dampener there, and there are two ways of arguing that, and why in the election season has BD been kept out, or BD's GST been brought down to 18%? Were there, electoral compulsions? Yes. But there, as you know, is a fair amount of pressure also from the, within the country also, that, the interest of the farmers, the BD rollers should be protected as well. So that's one thing too. But for me, I mean, I kind of like the fact that sugar in the sense has been taxed higher by way of these beverages and everything else.
Actually, we have a story on that a little later as well. But the sugar is a catch-22. Liquid sugar in carbonated form has been taxed higher. But sugar overall, the slab has been cut down. Ultra-processed foods, the slab has been cut down. So you're right, the overall health, if you see, it's a bit of a mixed bag. And we'll have to take it with a pinch of, not salt, but in sugar in this case. But thank you both for joining us with those updates. Let me quickly bring in our expert as well. Mr. Vipul Jain, CEO of Hospitals at CK Birla Group, is with us. Mr. Jain, I just want to understand industry reaction here. What exactly are we looking at? The intent of the government seems to be very clear, that make healthcare more affordable, get more people under the insurance umbrella, make quality healthcare affordable for one and all. Several initiatives like Ayushman also supporting that. I'm trying to understand, is the industry ready, prepared to pass on all these benefits to policyholders, to people?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the reduction in the GST rates, especially for drugs, which is the medicine, and the medical devices, will be passed on to the patients. We also hope that the reduction in premiums will lead to better adoption of insurance by our patients, which eventually also reduces the cost of treatment or the burden for our patients, and makes the overall healthcare accessible. To give an example, we do not charge GST on healthcare services. If I do a surgery in the hospital, we don't charge GST, but we do pay GST for the medicines that we buy. Now that rate reduces from 22nd, that is directly and immediately passed on to our patients.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you so much, Vipul Jain, for joining us with those details. Before you go, I quickly want to get a quick understanding from you that, whenever we talk about insurance, hospital care as well, a lot of it is not just about, policies being rolled out. A lot of it is implementation on ground. Anybody who's been admitted in a hospital, has taken insurance, knows the pain one has to go through every time a TPA clearance has to happen. So is there conversation within the industry to simplify that as well?
Yes, and thankfully, with whole digitization journey that the country is on, there are now startups who are helping bridge the gap between a hospital and an insurance partner. There are ways in which these folks are helping us automate these processes and reducing the typical 3-4 hour wait that patients have to do to less than an hour. We are still some distance away, but I think I'm very confident us as hospitals and the insurance companies, we are going to make this far, far smoother for the patients.
Got it. Okay, here's hoping that your sentiment echoes across industries and this is actually passed on. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Jain, here on 5 Live. All right, the other big story that we are tracking, like we said, GST was all about health. But hold on, do you have cold drinks? Are you a cold drink lover? Or just sipping one while you're watching this report? Brace yourself, because your fizzy fix just got slapped with the sin tax. But this just isn't about colas anymore. From energy drinks to fruit juices or sugary drinks which are come under the garb of fruit juices. A silent health crisis has been bubbling beneath the surface, and now the government's popped the lid. What changed? Why now? And just how dangerous is this so-called refreshing sip? We break it down for you on what's been taxed, what's toxic, and what it really means to your health and your wallet. Up next, the story that clears all the fizz and confusion around sugary drinks, which is now a sin officially. The much-needed GST reforms are here, and they've made everyone, from the common man to Sensex, even the farmers, happy. Except if you sin. And sin isn't just about smoke anymore. For the first time in India, sugar is sin. And let me just say, we couldn't be happier about it. Now, under the new system, there's a special 40% tax slab for luxury and sin goods. That means all your cold drinks, flavored soda, iced tea, energy drinks, all are now officially under the sin list, right next to tobacco and alcohol. Do you know the amount of sugar even present in these drinks? Let's break it up. Coca-Cola, Thums Up, Sprite, Fanta, all of these have roughly about 10 to 15 grams of sugar per 100 ml. Your Fruity and Maaza, about 11 to 15 grams per 100 ml. The very popular Red Bull, about 100 grams sugar per 100 ml, plus it has about 110 milligrams of caffeine in one can. Now that's roughly about 4 to 5 teaspoons full of sugar in just one drink. And you know how much that is? It's your entire day's limit gone in a single gulp. Many people think ditching alcohol means they have dodged life's major sins. But knock knock, this is your wake-up call. One cola or even one Red Bull could be doing perhaps as much damage to your body. Let's tell you exactly how. So you sip that cola and zack, the sugar floods hit your bloodstream. Your pancreas scramble, releasing insulin. Now glucose fuels your cells, but fructose, it goes to the liver, where it turns into fat, and over time, that fatty liver disease. Next comes the energy slingshot. Sugar plus caffeine makes you feel on top of the world, but then boom, your blood sugar crashes. You are left wiped out, irritable, craving even more, and then it leads to excess sugar. Again, it gets stored up in your belly fat, the most dangerous kind, remember, linked to diabetes, heart disease, visceral fat, if you have heard of it. Sugar also wears down your teeth, clogs up your liver, inflames your heart, and pushes blood pressure up. No wonder then that India is the diabetes capital of the world. The Lancet ICMR study says 11.4% of Indians, about 101 million people, have diabetes, while 15.3%, that's another 136 million, are pre-diabetic. That's nearly 1 in 4 adults. In the words of WHO, nutritionally, people don't need any sugar in their diet. And no, switching to honey and jaggery doesn't save you. We've broken that myth in our sugar showdown. Go check it out. Bottom line here is that this tax reform is a step in the right direction. But the next battle is going to be ultra-processed foods. Your samosas and jalebis, bhujiyas and gulab jamuns, namkeens and instant noodles, a farcical warning will not do. We need to put them in the tax sin bracket as well. For now, the message at least from the government is clear. Sugar is sin. All right, so it's official. Sugar is sin. We've been talking about it for a while now. It's very happy to have the government sort of recognize that as well. But like I said, in the overall GST bucket that you see, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. Let me bring in our guest now. Revant Himmat Singh, aka Food Farmer, is with us. He's been a health advocate when it comes to sugar. Revant's blood pressure goes very high, and we'll understand exactly why that happens and what makes all of this kick. Also with us is Pooja Makhija. She's a nutritionist, clinical dietitian, and celebrity food guru as well. Revant, if you look at the overall GST bucket, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. I'll tell you why. Great news on sugary drinks. It's now a sin. But at the same time, your bhujiyas and samosas and ultra-processed foods, even sugar, just as an added form, the tax slab has been reduced. So what are we saying here? That don't drink your sugar, but perhaps okay to have it. What's the messaging really?
Yeah, it's quite confusing because on one hand, we are saying that packaged foods, ultra processed foods have gotten cheaper from 12% to 5%. On the other hand, I think tobacco and some certain other things like the cold drinks have become 40%. So it's a very mixed signal. One more thing I want to clarify. I know that the 28% to 40%, I think there is one thing which I want to add in here, that there was earlier a 28% GST and a 12% cess. Now that has been combined into 40%. So it's not entirely that it's just gone from 28% to 40%. There was a 12% cess, which has now been converted into a GST. So it's almost like simplified the taxation rather than increase the taxation. So I think there needs to be more study and in-depth analysis around here, because I have also read mixed things around this. So I'm not fully sure that it's actually an increase in tax. It's just a different type of tax now.
All right, because the overall cap is actually 40%. A similar stuff has been done for cars as well. But good point there, Revant. Let me bring in Pooja as well. Pooja, could you sort of break it down for us and help me understand? I did try to sort of simplify to my best capacity on what happens to your body when you consume sugar. But is there a difference to what happens when you're consuming, say, a cola versus eating sugar? Sugary drinks versus just added sugar?
Thank you for having me, firstly, and great news on increasing the GST, or as has been just told to us, adjusting the GST or making it clear. But 40% of sugar being called sin, I think indeed is a very happy move to see, because we need to make people aware that that innocent one can a day is increasing your chances of diabetes by 26% and that of heart attacks by 20% if taken on a daily basis.
Hold on,
So,
one can increasing it to 26%.
Yes, one can a day is increasing it. There was another very striking study that showed one can of fizzy drinks on a daily basis is reducing your lifespan, a disease-free lifespan, by 12 minutes. Each can does that by 12 minutes. It reduces your lifespan of being disease-free lifespan by 12 minutes. And I think those are striking notes that we need to ensure that little children are aware about, because they are the target group, okay? Because it's so easily accessible to them. There are easy access even in schools and colleges for these aerated drinks and fizzy waters, and everyone needs to become aware that whether you're looking at obesity or fatty liver, or you're looking at even acne, all of that is aggravated by sugary drinks. So Sonal, to answer your question, you said, is there a difference between drinking a sugary drink and perhaps maybe consuming fruit or natural sugars that nature provides? I'm not sure if that was what you asked, but...
No, I wanted to say drinking your added sugar. We're only looking at added sugar right now, not natural sources. So compared to drinking your added sugar versus eating your added sugar, does the body consume it differently?
No, not really. It just depends on the speed at which you consume it. It's far easier to chug down a glass of aerated water versus it could be very easily as the same if you're going to gulp down a big bowl of pudding or cake or a mithai. So no, there's no real difference in how your body utilizes it. It's just the speed of consumption that will matter. Food and chewing may take a little longer than sipping and guzzling and chugging it down.
Yeah. So then that makes it very clear, right? Pooja, then that makes it very clear, because on one hand, if you're going to make your samosas and jalebis cheaper, bhujiyas cheaper, even gulab jamuns and everything else cheaper, but at the end of the day, sort of make a cola more expensive, it's just a balancing act. We haven't really cut it then, Revant, have we?
I can't hear anything, sorry. There is some connection issue.
Let me try and fix that for you. I'll request our producers to quickly fix that up. But let me come to you, Pooja, then. Let's come to natural sugars, what you touched upon earlier. Every time I do a show on sugar, there is so much hate that comes our way to say that we also had sugar. We also grew up having just that. Why is it that we should not give our kids sugar at all? Could you break it down to us in simple terms on what is the difference between consuming natural sugar versus added sugar?
When I talk about natural sugar, I'm talking about sugar nature made and put it in a fruit. So fructose, natural fructose, which is packed with all the fiber that the fruit has to give. And along with the fructose and that fiber, that fruit is a nutrition powerhouse, whether it is vitamin C or minerals. So at the cost of the fructose, it's coming with a package of nutrition that comes along with it. Versus any kind of man-made sugar, like you clearly said, honey and gur are not by any means any healthier than eating white refined sugar. They all fall in the same box. Now, man-made sugars are pure, what we call empty calories. They are giving you calories for zilch or zero or empty nutrition. So, which is why they are sadly an unhealthy junk sin and should be taxed even higher, I would say, than where we are.
Tax, Stephen, I actually couldn't agree more. But let me see if we have that line with Revant fixed up. Revant, this entire thing that jalebis and samosas should have a warning, I think it's quite farcical. I don't think anybody looks at that warning. I think the only way we understand is when we have to pay more. Although, you know, people who smoke will not agree with us on this point. They will smoke if they have to. But doing this sends out a message and intent from the government, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely. It sends a positive message that please don't, eat as much junk and don't consume as much sugar. And it gives also a message that we're taking diabetes seriously. So I'm all in favor. Also, there have been many other examples of other countries like Mexico, which also had a similar taxation. They made sugar into a sin tax, and they had a higher taxation on soft drinks. And as a result, in a matter of 2 years, the consumption of soft drinks drastically reduced. So my point is, it has been successful in other countries by taxing colas, how there has been a reduction in consumption. So I think the same thing can happen in India as well. So overall, I'm in favor of this sort of a move that we tax certain things like this higher, like the sugary beverages higher. I'll just have one more request, and I have a vested interest here as well. Just the way sugar is bad, similarly, protein is good. But unfortunately, protein still has a 18% GST. So can similarly the GST for some positive food be reduced? So just the way we are putting a sin tax, can we also put a opposite of sin, whatever it's called? But can we like subsidize
the good
basically
tax.
the good tax? Yeah. So can we subsidize protein powders and the healthier food?
Even I'm not sure I completely agree with you on that one, because protein powders and the rest of it, the entire protein fad, and Pooja, I don't want to make this about protein, but I quickly do want to say, these days, everything has become about added protein. Do we really need that much? Who needs protein? I think that calls for a separate episode. Promise to do it next week. And we'll get both of you back up as well. But Pooja, help me understand this. A lot of people think, I don't have aerated drinks. I just have juice, which is also in a bottle. I don't drink alcohol, but I am very regular with my Nibu Pani. I don't smoke, but I have a sweet tooth. So I can't be, I can't become a monk, but I pick my, devils or my sins, so to say. Is this a way to look at life in toto at all? What do you have to say to those people who are committing one or the other? Or are we being unfair in equating them with, say, tobacco and alcohol?
No, I don't think we are being unfair, because our perception of looking at tobacco and alcohol is I am doing sin to my body, but I put it under the tag of socializing or de-stressing. But at the end of the day, everyone who's drinking or smoking knows that they are harming this marvelous temple that has been gifted to them in life. To say that I don't sin as badly as smoking or alcohol, but therefore, if I have an occasional can of aerated drinks or sugary laden desserts or sugary laden nimbu pani, at least I can do that much in terms of pleasing myself. Maybe I think that's what people would do it to themselves for, like as a method of recreating or socializing or holding a sugary drink instead of alcohol. But they should know that if that the sugar is causing an equal damage to their body as is doing to alcohol. A non-alcoholic fatty liver is as much a deadly trouble for your body as an alcoholic fatty liver.
Let me
And
just say that again for people to sort of get emphasis on. A non-alcoholic sugary drink is as bad as your alcoholic drink. So don't think that if you're not having alcohol, your mocktails perhaps are any healthy. Don't think that just because it's aerated, it doesn't feel sweet on the palate, it's not bad. Very quickly, Pooja.
The addition here is, we sometimes will say, okay, alcohol is social, but because alcohol nahi pee rahi hu, so I will have a sugary drink on a daily basis. It's the frequency of the sin that matters as well. And because we are not considering sugary drinks as a sin, people are doing it on a daily basis. That is what needs to be highlighted to them, that the frequency of troubling your body is going to give you the long-term health problems.
That's right. Sugary drinks are a sin. I think that's the headline. That's what we've also gone with, and we really hope that people actually, this message cuts across. Revant, when it comes to sort of making people understand and making them aware about sugar, you've done a fantastic job of it. But I want to understand, is just taxing it the right way forward for a country like India? Or are we to look at other reforms, start with schools, start with getting what US is suggesting right now, ensure all doctors understand nutrition. They should do a one-year course on nutrition before they get their doctorate degree so that they're able to keep people out of clinics and not treat them inside. So are we looking, is awareness versus taxation, do they go along or one after the other? How are we to attack sugar? Win this war against sugar?
I think it's a multifaceted approach. It's not doing any one thing. So taxation is a good step, but it's not enough. We need to focus on health literacy. Unfortunately, as a country, we are educated, but we are not health literate. And you can go to the best of the engineering colleges, best of the colleges in any field. People don't know the basics of calories, artificial sweeteners, colors, and things like that. So we need to make India health literate. So how can we do that? By introducing health in the school curriculum. So that is one step which we really need to do, introduce health in the school curriculum. Second, introduce nutrition in the doctor curriculum, like, in the medical curriculum, so that even doctors are aware of what they are recommending to their patients. And there are many more things which we can do. For example, we had the sugar boards in like various schools now, and canteens and office canteens and things like that. We need to subsidize healthier foods, but it's a very multifaceted problem, and solutions also have to be coming in all sorts of ways. We need to encourage healthier alternatives, so we cannot just be like, okay, this is bad for you, then we need to give healthier alternatives to people as well. And,
talking about alternatives, let me bring in Pooja. Weekend is just around the corner. Now, those who were going to reach out to their one glass of wine or one alcoholic beverage, or say, okay, I'll go non-alcoholic, and now are watching this program to say कि सिर्फ पानी तो नहीं पी सकते. What do they do? Do you have some tips on what people can indulge in over social gatherings? Festive season is just around the corner as well. Give us something that will satisfy us but not make us punish our bodies.
I would say a glass of vegetable juice. I don't know how acceptable it's going to be, but if you really are thinking about your body in the long term, and that's what the aim of the government is, right? They are trying to say prevention is cheaper than cure. So you do the same thing. I would hold a glass of vegetable juice, maybe a tomato juice, which has some great electrolytes. It has great vitamin C as well as vitamin A. And if I really want to hydrate myself, then let me do myself some favor and justice. Otherwise, like you said, a plain glass of water is not boring. It is colorless, it is odorless, it is tasteless. but that does not mean it's useless. It's literally liquid gold, and the only way you're going to be able to beat about 90% of diseases can be beaten with adequate amount of hydration and water. So I think we should change the trend and change the voice, and socializing and having fun is not at the cost of torturing and troubling our health, but perhaps at the cost of enhancing life so that we enjoy every moment that
I
we
agree
have
with
been
you.
gifted.
I agree with you. So, Revant, Pooja wants a virgin Bloody Mary. What's your drink for this Friday? Non-sugary drink.
I would just have a Nimbu Pani, and Nimbu Pani can be had without sugar as well, FYI. Like, you can literally have Nimbu and Pani. So that's my probably go-to drink if you want to have something which is not water.
All right, Pooja, Revan, thank you both for joining us on this very sweet discussion about what sugary drinks are actually doing to us. So that's that. This is where we are. The government is almost giving you the signal. It's up to you to take control of your body and ensure you actually implement it. All right, and it's time to cut across to an exclusive chat. This is Piyush Goyal in conversation with India Today's Maria Shakil.
And welcome to the special conversation. The Modi government has ushered in next generation GST reforms. What will be the impact of these reforms on you and me, the Aam Aadmi, the middle class? What happens to the MSMEs? What is the rationale behind it? What is the calculation? And will the impact be as the government is hoping it will be? To answer all these questions, I am being joined by Union Commerce and Industry Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal. Mr. Piyush Goyal, appreciate your time here on India Today. How do you assess the impact of these reforms on all those that you're hoping it will be impacting, and how soon will the effect be seen?
Well, first of all, I'd like to compliment and thank Prime Minister Narendra Modi for what I believe is the most game-changing and transformational reform we have seen in several decades. This is a Diwali gift which he had promised on 15th August, and as we all know, he always delivers on his promises. On the auspicious occasion of Navratri on 22nd September, when these taxes become applicable, you will see every segment of society, our sisters and daughters, the youth of the country, our farmers, every product that is used by a common man from morning till night, he will feel the impact of lower prices in his life. And I think with the simplification of the laws around GST and procedures and processes and a more rational classification, this is a perfect reform measure which will not only lead to ease of doing business for the producers and people involved in the market, but will also have a significant impact for the ease of living, comfort and joy of the common man. With lower taxes, I think there will be a great buoyancy in tax collection and market demand, and this growing market demand will lead to a virtuous cycle of growth. And I see this as an icing on the cake in an economy which is the world's fastest growing economy, 7.8% last quarter. When you add a big boost to consumer demand, you're actually setting the stage for a long duration of continuous growth and prosperity for the people.
6 months ago, there was income tax cuts for the middle class, which was seen as a huge relief, and now this. What's really the process here? 6 months it has taken for you to arrive here, and then there are much more that is in the pipeline, Mr. Goyal. So what is the government's thinking?
If you recall, Prime Minister Modi inherited a broken economy in 2014. We were a fragile five economy, weak fundamentals, low foreign exchange reserves, high inflation, low growth, banking sector in the shambles. Our passport had no respect when we went anywhere in the world. he has very systematically over the last 11 years strengthened the macroeconomic fundamentals so that today we have the ability to be able to make such far-reaching and transformational duty cuts in GST and lowering down the income tax to such reasonable levels. This has happened over a long period of sustained, honest government, decisive government, reform-oriented thinking, and a very sensitive government caring for the last man at the bottom of the pyramid. After all, when 25 crore Indians come out of poverty in such a short period of time, after all, when 80 crore people continue to get free rations, even though they may not be in dire poverty today, but as a support measure, when you have more than 60 crore people getting free health care, and at the same time you are supporting medical insurance with zero GST on medical insurance or life insurance today for individuals, when you are supporting the pharma sector with lower cost of medicines or lower cost of medical devices, all of these measures, coupled with greater disposable income in the hands of the middle class, are really reflecting a strong economy, an economy that has come out of the shadows of the Congress rule to become a truly world-level economy. Will be the third largest in 2027 and fast grow from a $4 trillion economy to a $30 trillion economy in our Amrit Kal to Viksit Bharat.
And sir, big bang reforms, yes, but your opponents, and I'll quote the former finance minister here, Mr. P. Chidambaram, says that this is coming 8 years too late.
Well, I think Mr. P. Chidambaram was such a failed finance minister, which is why he could not bring in GST reform while he was in government. He never was willing to give a 5-year commitment to compensate states for 14% to earn their trust and implement GST. In his time, there used to be a plethora of taxes, duties, levies, nearly 34, 35 taxes. People were fed up with the number of taxes and the cascading effect of multiple taxes. It is Prime Minister Narendra Modi who even the opposition states trusted and who offered 5 years of compensation at a 14% growth rate, not a small percentage. And therefore, we were able to implement GST. When we implemented GST, the cumulative impact of taxes were less than what they were in the Congress regime. Over the years, we have been reducing taxes consistently on a plethora of items of the common man. I remember way back in 2018 also, Prime Minister Modi had reduced taxes on over 100 items. Every GST Council, he keeps giving relief. This work started quite some time back, and groups of secretaries, groups of ministers, recognizing that now the compensation will no more be required. The period is over, the COVID stress is also over. Prime Minister was very keen that we give a fillip to the economy, we give a massive thrust to consumers' benefit, and the changes that have been done across the board, textiles, furniture, medicines, white goods like air conditioners, two-wheelers, automobiles. I think every section of society stands to benefit from these changes, and it's the right time. Prime Minister Modi is continuously strengthening the economy, and all his steps continue to further empower the people of India. Sometimes a misstep taken too early could have caused irreparable damage to the economy.
So, as someone who engages with industry stakeholders regularly, how do you assess the likely impact of these reforms on manufacturing, particularly to do with supply chains, especially the MSMEs?
See, look at how systematically Prime Minister Modi has implemented his programs. He brought in the PLI schemes, production-linked incentive schemes. Almost 2 lakh crores was given to sectors where we needed to become self-reliant. Like in the pharma industry, he gave support to the key starting materials and APIs. He supported specialty steels. He supported the manufacture of white goods like air conditioners and LED lights. He supported the manufacturing of renewable energy equipment like solar equipment or equipment for producing semiconductors in India. He has very carefully crafted the economy into a direction that we can become stronger and more resilient in our supply chains. And now with these GST cuts, a GST massive cut earlier would have helped only the imported goods. Now with Indian domestic manufacturing rising, with more and more private sector and public sector investments supporting Indian manufacturing, Swadeshi manufacturing, this is the right time to support them with lower taxes. This will have a huge impact on our supply chains, help us create more resilient supply chains locally. For example, the tax on trucks has come down from 28% to 18%. This will give a big boost with lower logistics costs to the movement of goods and have an overarching impact to strengthen our supply chains as well as reduce the cost of logistics and the cost of the final product. Simultaneously, the Jan Vishwas bill has come out. We are continuously decriminalizing laws, removing obsolete laws, reducing compliance burden, making it simpler to comply with process and procedure in the government, removing the interference of government and government officials in the lives of common man and businesses. This process was started in 2014 and continues to happen and now is getting accelerated so that ease of doing business leads to ease of living for every citizen of India.
Mr. Goyal, GST Council is about centre and the states coming together. That is the construct of this body. How much of credit would you be sharing with states and particularly the opposition ruled states who are now saying that we have been telling the government to take some steps and they have gone ahead and done so?
Well, then why are they opposing it after the meeting got over? I have heard a lot of negative comments by the Chief Minister and the government of Karnataka. Why are they doing such double standards? I think over the years, there have been so many occasions when we have tried to reduce taxes where opposition ruled finance ministers in the GST Council have not helped us to create a consensus. The opposition speaks with forked tongue. I think the opposition has not really behaved responsibly in several meetings of the GST Council. Even in this meeting, there was an effort to derail this massive transformational reduction in taxes until 2 or 3 states got isolated and had to join the consensus. I think Prime Minister Narendra Modi has consistently looked at what is good for the people of India, what is good for the economy of India, what is good for the growth of India, what is good for the long-term development of India. The opposition has benefited significantly from the GST and we are happy. The states ruled by the opposition should also get higher revenues. I do hope they will bring in greater transparency and honesty in their working so that the fruits of growth and buoyancy that lower taxes will bring will also accrue to their states as much as they are accruing to the country as a whole.
As someone who's helming the trade talks with the United States, how much of these reforms do you think will help cushion the Indian industry, the country and the Indian economy vis-a-vis the tariffs which have been imposed?
I think the two are not hyphenated. The two are separate issues. We are dealing with trade negotiations on another track, but the effort to give a boost to consumer demand, to give a benefit to the women of the country, to the youth of the country, to the farmers, to MSMEs, that effort is getting a big impetus with yesterday's GST reform measures, both in terms of process simplification, rate rationalization, and massive reduction in rates in almost items across the spectrum of daily use of the common man.
So the India-US relationship has been carefully crafted, and it's been a relationship of 25 years. There has been, a measured, cautious, careful response from India every time belligerence has been displayed by the White House. Do you see the trade talks moving in the right direction?
Well, I think we've had very good relations for far beyond 25 years. The US and India have been friends and allies for decades and decades so far. But it has had its moments. For example, if you recall, when we did the nuclear tests in 1998, the United States had put sanctions on India. We were able to weather that storm. There will be occasions when there may be certain blips in the relationship, but I think it's a very, very consequential, very strong relationship. It can weather many storms and will continue to be a very strategic friendship, a very important relationship. We'll continue to grow together. We'll continue to have a lot of business to do together.
As someone who is involved in the trade talks, I'm saying it again because you were responsible for the trade deal with the United Kingdom. You're hoping with the European Union soon. Are you looking for fresh markets because of these tensions?
Well, I think every relationship stands on its own legs. Our relationships with the United States and our discussions with them continue as before. At the same time, we have already been talking to so many regions across the world. After all, we finalized free trade agreements with Mauritius, with UAE, with Australia, with the four-nation EFTA group, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Iceland, with the United Kingdom. We have almost come to final terms with Oman. We have finalized the terms of reference with Eurasia. We have been negotiating with the European Union 27-nation bloc for the last 3.5 years and making rapid progress. The Commerce Secretary was in Brussels Monday, Tuesday. Their teams are here next Monday and we have the next round of negotiations. My counterpart, Trade Commissioner Marosh, is visiting Delhi on 11th and will be here for 3 days. So there's progress on multifarious relationships. The Singapore Prime Minister is in India today. The German Foreign Minister, with whom we all had extensive discussions, was here last 2 days. So there's a lot happening across the world. The UAE Trade Minister was in Mumbai on Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
So there's so much happening and each relationship has its own strength and stands on its own feet.
Let me wrap up this conversation, Mr. Goyal, with the thought that I have. What makes these reforms next generation? Why are you calling these GST reforms as next generation GST reforms?
Because, Maria, we had inherited in 14, as I said, a very, very difficult economic situation. We were almost written off by the world. We spent the first 11 years in building up such a strong macroeconomy, such a strong fundamentals in the Indian economy with a number of reforms that have happened in the last 11 years. If I were to start listing them out, we would have to continue this interview till tomorrow morning. I mean, imagine if Digital India hadn't taken off as early as 10 years ago. Could we have weathered the COVID storm? If Make in India was not given a thrust since 2014 itself and launched, the Make in India program launched in 2015, we wouldn't be such a manufacturing superpower today. If Startup India was not given a leg up 9 years ago, we wouldn't have 200,000 startups, the world's third largest startup ecosystem. If banking reform hadn't started in 2014, we wouldn't have one of the world's strongest banking sectors today. If we had not strengthened our foreign exchange reserves and nearly doubled our exports over the last 11 years, we wouldn't be sitting on $700 billion, highest foreign exchange reserves we had seen in so many years, even as a percentage of our GDP. I think in every respect, Prime Minister Modi has prepared the nation for today. And this massive GST reduction will give a great fillip to the Indian economy. I see in this the start of a virtuous cycle of growth which will take India to newer heights. By 2027, today, this transformational initiative will give a big boost to domestic spending and consumer demand, coupled with our spending on infrastructure, will make us further grow and continue to be the world's fastest growing large economy. And in this Amrit Kal to 2047, this is the start of next generation reforms. You will continue to hear many more in the weeks and months and years to come as we power away to becoming a developed and prosperous nation, Viksit Bharat 2047, as the nation, the 140 crore Indians, resolve to use Swadeshi goods. And you can see that sense coming wherever you go. You can see it in social media. People of India today want to be Atmanirbhar. They want to give preference to made in India goods. They recognize that quality goods are now available, made in India by the sweat and toil of our Indian, made in the soil of India. And that is encouraging Swadeshi. Mahatma Gandhi's dream of Swadeshi is being fulfilled by Narendra Modi.
All right, Piyush Goyal, really appreciate your time and congratulations to your government for these reforms. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.